Hello Linux lovers, my name's Wimpy and the audio's not ducking. Let's deal with that. There we go. How's everyone doing today? Gosh, that was loud. Hello, my name's Wimpy. Welcome to my world. If you're watching this after the fact on YouTube, this was originally streamed on twitch.tv/Wimpy's World. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I cover Linux development and desktop Linux and new tips, tools and stuff, and the community here is amazing and loves to get involved. So if you'd like to be a part of that, head over to twitch.tv/Wimpy's World and give us a follow. Right, I've got a lot to cover today. The main sort of topic is going to be taking another look at deb-get, which has seen an absolute load of community contribution in a few days since we did the last release. So we're going to wrap that up into hello Paul, good morning, going to wrap that up into a new release, but I'm also going to just go through some of the bits and pieces there that I want to refactor slightly to get things in better shape for the future, and I'll cover all of that in more detail. But I didn't stream on Monday or Wednesday this week. I was using that time. Yes, me. Thank you very much. That's very, very good. Thanks. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Good morning, Esme. So I didn't stream on Monday and Wednesday. I used that time to sort some other stuff out. And I've learned a bunch of things along the way, and I thought I'd go over the updates as like what's changed with my setup and workflow recently. And maybe there'll be some tips and tricks in there that you might, learn from and think, oh yeah, that's something I could do. So good morning. So I'll start with that. Hey, hello Seb, good morning, how you doing? Good to see you again. So I'm going to go through that to start with, because there was some quite significant hardware changes at home. And in order to make those hardware changes, I had to remove effectively the NVMe array. So I've got 4 NVMe drives in array 0 stripe. That is my home directory, and that add-in board I had to remove from the machine in order to make space to shuffle GPUs around. So whilst I was shuffling data around, hello, good morning, Ian Jones. Thanks very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. So whilst I was having to shuffle all of that around, I thought I'll rejig everything. Hey Paul, thanks very much for the resub. That's really kind of you. So whilst I was reorganizing all of my data, everything has changed. So there's a high degree of possibility. Oh my gosh, there's a hype thing happening. I don't know what those things mean. This is only the second time this has happened. No idea what we're supposed to do now. Maybe Twitch aficionados will know. What was I doing? I was reorganizing. Oh, right. So consequently, all of the assets that I use in OBS have all been reorganized and put in different places. So there's a good degree of possibility that some stuff won't work. Like, for example, the audio not ducking as this stream went live. So, yeah, followers are indeed very generous. It's very kind indeed. Right then, so let's go and take a look at where all of these changes started. So let's go here. We'll start with this bit of news, because last Friday I was doing a stream where I was trying to get a release of Retro Home out, and that looked like it was a massive fail. In actual fact, I was once again being thwarted by dodgy electrical power supplies. So after the fact, I put a new power supply in, and everything that was failing on stream now all worked swimmingly. So I bumped out a bunch of images, and here they all are. So Retro Home is available in alpha form to download and test for the Raspberry Pi, and we have a desktop edition with the embedded desktop edition for the generic Raspberry Pi image. We have a Desk Pi images, again, just the emulation stuff, or with a desktop as well. And then we have an image which is called Retro Flag, and that image supports all of these Retro Flag cases. So what that means is if you put that image on a Raspberry Pi in one of those Retro Flag cases, all of the power on, power off, reset buttons and all of that stuff work out of the box. So yeah, so I am learning.
Horizons 11.
Hey New Horizons, thanks very much for the follow. So I am learning the hard way not to cheap out on power supplies for anything as it happens, but particularly for the Raspberry Pi. Hey Yannick, well, you know what you need to type if you think you've missed something. I added a special command just for you. I wonder if you can remember. He's remembered. There we go. So that's what we're doing today. Oh indeed, oh indeed. Right, so Retro Home is out. I encourage you to find a spare Raspberry Pi, test it out, give me your feedback. And on that topic, we'll move over to Ludo, which is the front end that Retro Home uses. This is the front end to the libretro cores. It's an alternative to RetroArch, developed by some of the RetroArch developers, ostensibly one of them. And it's a sort of a simpler interface. So I have had a chat with them because now I've got Retro Home to where it is. There's a few things I'd like to tweak in Ludo. So I've had a chat with the main dev there, and we're all in agreement that the changes that I'm proposing are small enough, non-invasive and sensible. So at some point in the future I will be learning Go and using Ludo as the place where I learn Go and make some contributions to the project. So, hey New Horizons, you're new to Linux. Well, welcome. You are among friends. Lovely to have you here. This channel is almost exclusively made up of Linux geeks. So we share what we know and we work on projects together. So, and today's stream's a good one for you to join for the first time because I'm going to be going through some changes I've been making in the way that I'm using my Linux workstation. So maybe you'll pick up a few things along the way. Hello, Ian. I'm glad that you've been able to catch one of these. Oh, I don't know what that means, but I'm clicking the share button. I don't know what that means. So I'm glad you be able to catch one live. Thanks very much for stopping by. Yeah, and they are archived. Hello, Diogo. How you doing? Nice to see you again. Welcome to all the new people that are stopping by this morning. Lovely to have you here. Morning, Graham. How you doing? Right then. Right. Okay. So Ludo, there will be some changes that I'm going to be making there. And it's gonna. I'll cover that in future streams. That will feature. But let's get to my big change at home. So the main GPU in my PC at home is now my RX 6900 XT, which replaces the RTX 3090 that I had in that machine. So the main reason for making that change is the warm weather here in the UK at the moment, and the backplate. I've got a day one 3090, which means it's got some of the memory chips on the back of the board, and the backplate of that GPU, it gets hotter than the surface of the sun. It is absolutely superheated. It's constantly at the high 90s or sometimes 100 plus degrees. And as a result, it is just pushing out a constant stream of hot, not warm, hot air. And in this weather, it was just intolerable. I couldn't stand it any longer. So I did some back of a napkin sums, and I figured out that the RX 6900 has similar performance for games and what have you, which is kind of a consideration, but it runs way cooler and way more efficient. So the 3090 came out and that went in. However, I like to do this live streaming thing, and I like to offload the encoding of that to NVENC. So here I'm using a 3080 Ti, which is fine. It doesn't have those overheating issues. And I use NVENC to do all of the, encoding stuff. The AMD does have an equivalent sort of hardware encoding capability. It's on Windows and also with the AMD GPU Pro, but AMD GPU Pro drivers on Linux. It's known as AMF. I think it's the Advanced Media Framework or something. But it's also accessible through the open source APIs, VA API. However, while it works, the quality is nowhere near as good as NVENC. And I really wanted to keep NVENC around. So my crazy idea to make my GPU situation cooler was to go to a dual CPU configuration where we have this GPU as the main GPU in the workstation, and it powers the desktop and games, and it is the thing that drives the displays. And then I have one of these, what it says here, entry level. So this is what you would consider like a CUDA, a Quadro class card. But here's the interesting properties about these. These are single PCI slot cards. They're bus powered, so no auxiliary power. And they run between 30 and 50 watts, depending on which model you have. And they don't have many of the RTX features, but they do have NVENC. And here's the other interesting thing. You can use one of these, like the T400, or the T600, or the T1000. And I've done this test on the 600, the 1000, a 2080 Ti, a 3080, no, a 39 and a 3090. And encoding and exporting video via NVENC on all of these cards is the same within a handful of seconds. It's basically run-to-run variation. So this T400 you can get in the UK for £120 and the T600 for £150. So I have a T600 in a slot on the motherboard, and it is headless. It's got no displays attached, and I don't have any of the display drivers installed, but I do have all of the compute, CUDA and encode decode libraries installed. So it sits there and is basically just an encoder card. It's a general purpose GPU at that point. So that's the change that I've made, and I'll show you a bit of what that looks like in just a moment. So just catching up on the messages here. So Takov also asks about sensible cooling on the 3090. Yes, there are some modifications that can be made. There's some real Heath Robinson stuff I've seen with people, like sticking like copper cooling pads on the backplate. That doesn't actually move the needle very much in terms of, cooling efficiency, and they've strapped fans on it. What I have seen is what's called a copper mod, where you take the backplate off, pull the heatsink off the GPU and the memory, and you very carefully, you then, have to tape off around the components, but then apply copper plates to all of the memory chips and what have you. in order to change the conductivity of the memory chips to the to the backplate and make that more efficient, and then, as you say, push more air across the backplate. To be honest with you, I think I'm going to sell my 3090 because new generation of GPUs are coming along, and I may sell off some of my old ones in order that I can buy something new later in the year. That 3090 I've had since, well, I think it was released on September the 24th, 2020? Was that when they released? Anyway, it's coming up for 2 years that I've had that card in full-time use, so it served me well, and I paid actual MSRP because I bought it on day one. Hello Nubbin, welcome back. So that's the change that I've made. So I've got 2 GPUs. So let's just take a little look at what that looks like. So if I SSH into the machine at home, and we'll get on to how this works as well in a bit. So if we do Radeon top, oops, there we go. So this is, obviously the AMD card, and when it's doing stuff, pretty graphs and what have you. So that, shows that card is there, and it's basically idle at the moment, which is as you'd expect. And then if we look at NV top, we're now looking at that. In fact, you can see up here, we're looking at the NVIDIA T600, and you can see that this is up to 41 watts, but currently not pulling enough to actually register, and also not doing anything. But when I do encoding and what have you, you can see this do stuff. But you'll see there's no processes on this. So this is working really nicely. But I experimented with a couple of ways of doing this. So there is NVIDIA Prime, and if you've had like a hybrid laptop, you may be familiar with this. We have like an NVIDIA GPU and some sort of IGP, and you can use the NVIDIA GPU when more demanding circumstances arise, like playing a game or running Davinci Resolve or something like that. I did experiment with that, but it's a bit of a mess because the NVIDIA card always wants to be default in that configuration, and you can tell it no, you're not available. But even if you coerce the environment variables, there are some games that will just always want to try and use the NVIDIA card, which I don't want, because this is a really weedy GPU. In terms of its actual, 3D graphics capability, this is lower than a 3050. It's fairly basic, and I don't care for that. I don't need it. I don't need this to be a stonking 3D rendering thing. I just want NVENC and some basic CUDA stuff. But in this configuration, there is another plus point. There are some applications that absolutely require that NVIDIA compute is available, either NVENC or CUDA or both. And in this configuration, I can have the Radeon card drive the displays and everything, and for those apps that require NVIDIA, they see this and they'll use it. And one good example of that is Davinci Resolve. So when I start Davinci with just the Radeon card in, it falls over and complains. There are workarounds. It's a little bit fiddly. But with a cheap NVIDIA card, Davinci Resolve comes up and all of the acceleration is available. So I'm very happy with this. And I had this doing an encode on OBS and an export in Shotcut and running Davinci all at the same time. So it's all pretty good stuff. So what have we got here? Takov asks, hang on a moment. Do you have any older GeForce cards? I do. I have a 980 Ti, a 1080 Ti, a 2080 Ti, the 3080 Ti, the 3090. What have I missed? Is that all of them? I think that's all of them. Oh, and I've got one of those really old 710s, you know, those sort of just basic make a display work. You know, they've literally got no capabilities to speak of. So yeah, I've got a whole bunch of past GeForce cards. So let's have a look here. We got a few questions. I'll get through them. Background music sounds like Guyana Sisters. I didn't catch that. I love that game. That's a great game, cue ball. So Tommy says, let's have a look here. Tommy, no, I'm not going to keep the 3090 on the shelf for display purposes. I've got a lot, as I just outlined, I've got a lot of GPUs and I've got a lot of past Radeons as well. I'm thinking of having a clear out, downsizing what I have, so that I can build something new, maybe December, January time. So Graham says that they solved their issue by getting a fanless desktop machine. It's a rather amazing copper heatsink, about the size of your average teapot. Yeah, I do have. It's quite frustrating. I have the Ice Giant. So this machine at home here. If we just exit out of here, and let's run Zenith. This machine at home is a Threadripper, and it doesn't actually. That's a bad example. What else could I run? Have I got? Let's run this. I think this might show it off a bit more. Okay, so here we go. We can't even see all of them. We can see some of them, but here's the CPU complex up here. And I currently have a water block on that, but it's not, what's the word? It's not optimized for the size of the IHS on Threadripper. So I'm actually going to change that this weekend. I'm going to put a Noctua, Threadripper specific Noctua fan on there and remove the water cooling entirely, because my feeling is that that radiator for the water cooler is a radiator. It is radiating heat because it has been getting superheated by the GPU. So I'm going to remove that and just put more airflow through the case. And King Egypt asks, was there the reason that I bought the T600 and not the T400? So I did a little bit of research and looked at some people that had reviewed both the T600 and the T400. And the T400 generally is available with 2 GB of video RAM. It does have a 4 GB version. They're harder to find. The T600 only comes with 4 GB of RAM. And in terms of its CUDA performance, it's quite a step up. It's still not like an amazing GPU, but it's quite a step up in that if you're using Davinci Resolve, it's got enough power to render out, you know, special effects and things like that. So I got it mostly to sort of hedge my bets. Now, as it happens, if you were just getting one of these to do NVENC, Chelsea Cucumber, who was that? Hey Mindy, how you doing? If you were just getting one to do NVENC encoding, the T400 with 2 GB of RAM is absolutely fine. I haven't seen it with running multiple NVENC encodes. I haven't seen the video RAM exceed 500 megabytes yet. And like I say, the NVENC performance is the same for all NVENC chips of the same generation. And the other important thing is these T-class chips have the same NVENC generation as you find in the 20 and 30 series GPUs, so effectively equivalent. So if I was buying again, I might be tempted by a T400 because it runs slightly lower. It's only 30 watts. The T600's 40 watts. So, you know, you're trying out all the animations there, Tommy. I'm going to add some new ones soon. I've got some ideas. So that hopefully explains why I went with the T600. I also found it for a decent price. I bought mine for £150, which is actually pretty decent. I haven't seen it that low elsewhere. So Seb has got a Threadripper. He's got the 2950. I've got the 3970, Seb. And Seb goes on to say that his Threadripper is called by the Noctua. Yeah, so I've got the Noctua with the Threadripper plate, it's the SR3 or something. And I've ordered the additional fan, so I'm going to do a dual fan there. And yeah, I've got Noctua fans elsewhere in that machine too.
Thank you for the follow, Naguela.
Naguela, welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. So hopefully that explains some of the hardware changes. I'm super happy with how that has turned out. I'm less happy with the fact that I've had to remove my storage array with my home directory on it. So let's do this. Let's think about this. Let's do something here. So I've made some other changes, and I'm just going to see if I can get part of it to work here. So I want to I want to do that. Let's try this. Trying out brand new things live. This should be entertaining.
Less than 3, less than 3, less than 3.
Hey, Mindy, thanks very much. Right then. So this is, in fact, let's just see if I can unlock this here. It looks like I can. So this is the machine at home. And we'll just, this isn't going to be great. It's going to be slightly distorted, but there we go. We'll bring that up. So if I do disks, there we go. Is that going to load? Yeah, that's not working, is it? Why not? Why is that not? Was it starting on a different screen? Okay. Anyway, what I was going to show is that I've changed the way that my storage is organized, and I've had to make a bit of a compromise with how that works, which I'm not super excited about. So I've got now my home directory is on a RAID 0 stripe of 2 4 terabyte NVMe drives, and my backups are now going to some magnetic drives, and it's the first time I've used magnetic drives in 6 years, and I was shocked at how slow it was. And they're not like bad drives or anything, but like backing up 4 terabytes of stuff took a long time. So I may have to recover that situation at some point. Anyway, you saw me using No Machine there, and I suppose that gets me on to like the next thing that's changed. So in order to put this T600 in, I had to remove my array that I was using as my home directory, and so I organized my stuff. So you saw me logging in. I'll just mention this. I'm using Tailscale to do my VPN between here and home. This office is on a managed network. It's behind, a natted firewall. I've only got Wi-Fi here. It's isolated Wi-Fi, but Tailscale enables me to just treat these two machines like they're on a LAN, basically. It's amazing. There are other solutions like Tailscale. This is what I'm using. I absolutely love it. And then what I've done is I've been using SyncThing for a while, but I've upped where and how I'm using SyncThing. So I'm synchronizing much more stuff between the two machines. So effectively, if I just bring this up and resize it a little bit, the apps directory, development, documents, downloads, pictures, public, scripts, studio, SyncThing, and videos and websites, those are all different SyncThing directories which are live syncing between here and work. Here and home. And that's so anything that I do here is immediately at home, and anything I do at home is immediately here. So I can freely move between the two locations and everything's the same. I have the same state. Even if I've been working on something and I haven't committed that code to Git, it doesn't matter. That state is replicated. So I can just stop doing stuff here, go home, go to the same project, and I'm in exactly the same place. So no, I'm not using Git to sync my code. So this is what Graham is asking. So it's interesting that you're not using Git to sync your code. What kind of delay do you get with SyncThing? So I've got SyncThing set up. In fact, let's go and have a look. Let's bring it up and I'll show you, and I'll show you the development folder. So if we bring this up here, here's the SyncThing front end. Here is the development folder, and you'll see there's 5 million or 500,000? I can't count. 1, 2. That's nearly, yes, 4.1 million files and 62 gigabytes in that development folder. And you'll see here that it's using iNotify, so it's send and receive, so both sides are send and receive. And then I have a rescan interval of, what's that, 2 hours. And that SyncThing advises that. It says sometimes, you may not catch all of the updates just with the iNotify stuff. So doing a resync periodically may be necessary. But with this, using iNotify, almost instantaneous, as long as it takes for the transfer of the data to happen. So what this means, for example, just trying to think if there's a project that I've got in an uncommitted state. Let's go and see what we can see. Let's go here. I think deb-get, yeah, deb-get's all up to date. Retro Home might not be there. Yeah, Retro Home is not. So here I am. In fact, I'm on the home. I'm actually SSH'd into the home machine. So if I do a git status here, you can see that, this is the state of things. And in fact, if we just, well, if I was to do the same thing here, you'd see exactly the same results. And the reason that I do it like this is that I used to use Git, but it meant that I was making unnecessary commits just to get stuff into Git so that I could go somewhere else and pull it down. Doing it this way, I can actually work on stuff, and when it's finished, then commit it in a clean way. Yeah. So that's how that's all working, and everything is being synced. You saw from that UI here, this is a whole bunch of stuff. And ISO mirror is all of the ISO images for Ubuntu Mate, which are on the download site for ubuntumate.org. And what I'm going to do over the weekend is add this ISO mirror to the download servers and actually use SyncThing to keep those all in sync for the servers, but it also means that then what I can do is when I make new builds, I can just drop them into this sync thing folder and know that they'll get replicated out, and I won't have to, you know, do it manually. Sync thing is great. I did learn that I had a problem with it a little while ago, but it turned out this rescan interval, for reasons I can't explain, somehow got set to 10 seconds on one of these, and it meant that it was constantly running, and it was on a laptop, it was causing it to burn through battery life. So yeah, sync thing is terrific, and that's what I'm using. Hey Big Pod, how you doing? Yeah, so what you can see here is some of my friends, and yeah, this will be Popey. The ThinkPad's Popey. Right then. So Graham says that they've been planning on using Nextcloud for desktop-to-desktop sync. If you actually want synchronizing, like not backups, this is an important distinction. If you want synchronizing, you like the other thing is I run sync thing on my laptop. So when I travel, I have the same setup on my laptop. Not all the same syncs enabled because I don't need all of them. But it does mean that I can then travel, be working on stuff on my laptop, come home or here, and the state of my work is the same in all of the places. Yeah. I have tried to use Nextcloud many times, and I'm at the point where I've given up trying. I don't need some of the features that Nextcloud provides, and I never found the file sort of sharing thing to be particularly reliable. And you will have noticed somewhere in here, I've had Dropbox, I think from 2008, like really early on, whenever it was new, and we still use that a lot for home stuff, so that's where photos get backed up to and stuff like that. Although I may switch that to sync thing at some point. So anyway, there we go. So it's all new sync things set up, and tail scale, which means local discovery works between those two sites over sync thing. And then I've also just set up no machine on both, so I can get a fast desktop session on both should I need it. This just does what I want without me having to fiddle around with it. So yeah, right then, let's move on. Let's look at some other updates. Have I missed anything? So Mindy's here. So Mindy says, it is Mindy, isn't it? Not Matt. Is it Mandy or Mindy? Sorry if I've forgotten. deb-get is awesome, they say, but still I miss a tool to pull in binaries from GitHub. So are you talking about like binaries published as tarballs, for example, things like that, like some Rust Go, and even I've seen a few Node projects that are sort of in a single binary. It's a massive binary, but it's a single binary. I don't quite know how that works. Is it something... is it something people are interested in working on? I mean, you could take deb-get and just replace the back end to support a different mechanism. It could be done for sure. What would you call it? Bin-get? Target? Ooh, target's quite good, isn't it? Yes, and so it's Mandy. Thank you for clarifying. And Mandy also says that they keep having the same logic, you know, to pull in all sorts of binaries. That's why I created deb-get. I have a bunch of scripts. So one of the things that gets synchronized with all that sync thing stuff, and also yadim, which I use for my dot files, is a whole bunch of provisioning scripts. So all of the same settings follow me as well, and applications and their configuration. And I had the same boilerplate in reaching out to GitHub pages and pulling in debs and what have you, and it was just like, yeah, I just need to make a single tool. And also I see, is it Diogo's in here, I think, who said the same thing, that they ran deb-get for the first time and it picked up a whole bunch of stuff they'd got installed on their machine that they hadn't updated in ages, and then offered them, you know, a whole bunch of updates. And then they were like, and I've got a bunch of scripts that install this stuff and now I don't need those. And it's like, yeah, that was entirely the point. Yes, sleepy eyes, Vince. Yeah, register that project. Register that project now. Target. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I see. Yeah, iCloud is spendy. Yeah, here we go. So, Diogo, I saw on Twitter, had discovered, and we'll get to deb-get in a moment. We're gonna do some improvements there, and also look at the astonishing amount of work that people in the community have done in the last 10 days or so. Amazing amount of work. So anyway, that's recent changes. So let's look. What was my next tab? Oh, OBS fully loaded. Okay, so some of you may know, obviously I'm using OBS here. OBS fully loaded is a script a bit like deb-get. In fact, this is the OG deb-get.
Thank you for the follow, Tired Beaver.
Hello, Tired Beaver. Welcome to the stream. So if we have a look at this, you will notice that there is apt download, apt install, install deb. This is where deb-get came from. So I am going to be updating this script at some point to use deb-get rather than its internals. But this was where I finally had the idea of, hang on. And also, Mandy, you will find in here, there is install tarball plugin, install zip plugin. This is probably enough to be the bootstrap for the tool that you were just describing, because it effectively does what you were saying. This is the only thing that you need to think about, is that, and why I specifically chose to make deb-get about debs and not anything else. Those tarball things, you need to track on a project by project basis, like what the dependencies are, and install those in air quotes manually, you know, define what those are. But it can be done, and there's one here for installing OBS plugins via different mechanisms. So what is this? It's two things. It's basically, I used to maintain the snap of OBS Studio, which was OBS Studio plus everything that I use and other people would use in order to do cool stuff with OBS. And this is my alternative solution, which uses a deb of OBS Studio, and then this tool reaches out and installs all of these plugins and filters and even themes. So I updated this yesterday, so it's up to date with the latest versions of all of the filters and plugins that this uses. So this was the yesterday's change, about half a dozen updates. But the other thing that this does is it uses my own build of OBS Studio, and I'll get back to that in just a moment about why I'm maintaining my own PPA of OBS Studio. But the other thing I worked on last night was this. There's been a long-standing issue in OBS, it looks like it was in OBS Studio, where you start the virtual camera and it starts, and this is on Linux obviously, you start the virtual camera and then you stop it and then you go to start it again and it doesn't restart. And some people thought the solution to this problem was to reboot their machine, or what you could do was remove the kernel module for the Video for Linux 2 loopback kernel module, and then you'd be able to hit start again. Long story short, this is due to a regression that was introduced into Video for Linux 2 loopback, and somebody identified the issue and submitted 2 pull requests to address it. So what I've done is built the current version of video for Linux to loop back for multiple versions of Ubuntu with these patches included, and everything is working as it should. So I'm just doing some testing with the OBS community at the moment, and if this all checks out, then I'll try and get this in Ubuntu proper rather than just my PPA. But if you're using OBS on Ubuntu and you're using the virtual camera, you absolutely, positively want this PPA on your system. So this does fix it. And this is my PPA where I maintain builds of OBS Studio. And here we go, Focal, Impish, Jammy, Kinetic. I updated those at the end of May. That seems reasonable given that it was about then that a new version of OBS was released. This is OBS, obviously, but it uses Debian packaging from upstream Debian and then adds all of the value add that you get from the OBS Studio PPA. So it adds the Chromium embedded framework, so browser sources work. This for AGA cameras. I don't know what AGA cameras are, but it was a big deal for the last release of OBS Studio. And then we also enable the Fraunhofer AAC codec. So the reason that I've built this is it adheres to the Debian packaging, which means you get like the header packages separately, which means it can be integrated into CI/CD workflows to build like OBS plugins against it. So I've written a script which automates this whole build process. It automates the grabbing the upstream Debian source package, creating a new sort of OBS tarball, which includes all of this extra stuff, and configuring it in the right way. So now I'm pretty happy that this is working well. I contacted the maintainers of the OBS Studio official PPA, and I've said, hey, I've worked on a thing. Are you interested in collaborating so that we can bring all of this together? So we'll see how that goes, but I'm trying to do a little bit more in the OBS community, directly with them rather than as an island. Yeah, so Mandy, you make a good point. I did look at adding No Machine to deb-get very briefly yesterday, and as you say, I couldn't. Well, I'm sure it's doable, but it was like there is no obvious way, no immediately easy way of grabbing the current published release version in order to do the whole update thing. It's a bit frustrating. It would be good if it could be added though, I agree. Right then. So these are the OBS updates, trying to do more there. So let's go and have a look at other stuff. So whilst I was reorganizing all of my data, in fact, I can give an example of what I mean. So I've now got this directory called Studio, and I've organized this by like projects. So I've now got all of my stuff to do with, you know, OBS, and like here's where the podcast stuff happens. Here's backups of like the different machines with the different configurations and what have you, and all of that's automated. So I've got all of this stuff tucked away in here, and all of these assets are now actually organized and make sense, and everything's in one place. And I've also got a folder. Where is it? Here, scripts, and specifically streaming. There we go. And this are a bunch of scripts which are actually like what's hooked up to my Stream Deck. So when I push buttons on my Stream Deck, these are the scripts that get called. One of which is pulse volume, for example. But what I noticed is the reason that I created that script called pulse volume is that Spotify didn't support the full M3 protocol. So you couldn't do things like fast forward or change the volume or set the loop and shuffle options. And what I've used to do that is this thing called player control. And if you're not familiar with it, it's great command line tool to control media players. Anyway, I discovered quite by accident yesterday or the day before that Spotify in a recent update now fully supports M3. So for example, if I stop talking and I push the fast forward button, I can skip 5 seconds at a time, and I've programmed that into my Stream Deck. And I can also now control the volume and like the looping and shuffling and all of that good stuff. So I have rewritten one of my scripts that manages all my Spotify stuff that now manipulates Spotify directly thanks to these changes. And I updated a bunch of issues in player control where they were saying, yeah, it doesn't work with Spotify because Spotify's busted, to say it's not busted anymore. It now seems to work brilliantly. So if you're not familiar, player control, it's in the archives, and they also have, I discovered, a deb here. So I feel like this is going to get added to deb-get in the not too distant future. So there you go, Spotify supports M3. So all of your desktop like plugins for your audio management should now be able to properly control Spotify. Yeah, Yannick makes a good point. I have seen this, Yannick. So yeah, Yannick was looking to add something to deb-get, and then wherever the download comes from is JavaScript. Yeah, it happens. I've encountered 2 others that have done that. Just have to suck it up, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a shame. I don't like these places where they've got a fixed download URL and they just won't let you inspect it. It's really infuriating. So, in other news, I'm doing a podcast with Joe Ressington called Linux Downtime, and we've had a rebrand. Here's the new logo, and the reason we've had a rebrand is we've got our new lineup of hosts is sort of agreed. It's now Joe, myself, and Hayden Barnes. We're going to be the 3 regulars. And we will be asking experts to join us on particular episodes where they've got, domain knowledge that maybe we don't. Linux Downtime is casual chat, debate, discussion about Linuxy and open sourcey things. So, come to linuxdowntime.com and get subscribed, because in the next episode, which will be out Sunday, so in 2 days, we're going to tell you why GitHub Copilot is awesome. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. So I'm not going to say any more about that other than thank you to Yannick for drawing my attention to it. It has changed my life. I love this so much. And we're going to talk about why. And we're also going to, because some of you may not know that Hayden Barnes is a lawyer, we're going to cover the legal side of it as well. So get subscribed and get your ears ready for some tasty discussion on Sunday. So that sort of rounds up stuff that I've been dabbling with. And now we get to deb-get, and we'll jump in here. I suppose... if anyone's got any questions on any of that stuff I was just covering off there that I missed, maybe. The chat's reasonably busy. It's difficult for me to spot everything, but hopefully I've kept up with it. And if I missed anything, tag me now. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the new episode. It was definitely great to record it. And I've been learning more about Copilot and how to invoke it. As in, get it to prompt you for things. It can do some pretty some pretty good stuff. Let me show you. Let me show you some of the stuff it can do. So I've not been like trying to deliberately get it to do things, but let's go to deb-get. Let's bring up. We're going to be working on deb-get anyway, so we may as well bring this up now. Let's just go up to the top here. Let's try and create a new function, right? So I'm just going to create a function, and I'm going to call it isFloat. There we go. Look at that. This is Copilot. I think this is amazing because you have to be a total nutter like me to try and handle floats in Bash. But Copilot knows how to do it. And this is the right solution. And I used this yesterday. And this regular expression would have taken me some minutes to come up with and, you know, actually test. And I haven't had to do it. This is awesome. And so I was in the Late Night Linux Telegram channel, and people were asking me to like try things out. So one way to invoke it is to create new functions, methods, classes, and what have you in different languages. And another way is you can start typing a comment, loop 5 times.
Thank you for the follow V0 Idros.
There we go. So that is interesting because that is not how I do loops in Bash when I know I need a... So I actually learned something, because normally what I would do is I would create a variable here and I would, you know, do some kind of Bash arithmetic here and, you know, have a statement, you know, if loop equals 5. Look, here we go. There's another example of it jumping in there. This is... I knew that was there, but it was just forgotten. So in any language, starting a comment and tell it, yeah, check if the user is root, right? There we go. It's just great for not having to type out boilerplate. And so that's all I'm going to say about it. We go into this more in the next episode of Downtime, where we cover many use cases. So I look forward to receiving your feedback about what we have to say about it. So, Sleepy Eyes Vince, you may be on something there, and that's certainly something we discuss. Yeah, it does. So Yannick says it suggests things you previously wrote. Not only that, it picks up on your own style. If I bring up this streaming Spotify. So I was working on this to... Oh, that's open Spotify. That's not the one I want. I want Spotify volume. So I was working on this to... start using player control to manage the volume rather than having to do all of this introspection into Pulse Audio. But you'll see I've got emoji in here for my status messages, because why would you not? And it actually, this line here was Copilot suggested as it is written. And it included the emoji, and it's a different emoji, but it's the right one. And it's like, how? So it's using what it's learning from your own projects in order to make contextual recommendations, which I think is fantastic. So if I do echo volume change, you know, it's just great. Check. Oh, this was another one that I used. Check if it's a number. There we go. It's just brilliant. It's just great. Just fantastic. So I'm going to stop talking about GitHub Copilot. It's awesome. If you've got the opportunity to try it out, I highly suggest you give it a go. Right, let's get rid of all of that. We don't need to save any of that.
Thank you for the follow, 40s Gamer.
Hello, 40s Gamer. Thanks very much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. Right then. So let's just have a show of hands. Who here has tried Copilot? Who here would try it if they could? You know, let's just interested.
Thank you for the follow, Ahmed Akbar.
Hello, Ahmed Akbar. Welcome to the stream. Right, we don't need that one. That's not what we're going to be working on. So, Ali says that they'd try it just for a laugh, but never actually use it. Why wouldn't you use it, just out of interest? Sleepy Eyes Vince would try it. Phil Clifford is trying it while free. I talk about that in Linux Downtime as well. Yannick has tried it and adopted it and would gladly pay for it if he had to. Diogo would give it a try. Big Pod haven't tried it yet and won't try it. Why would you not? It's terrific. King Egypt says they'd use it. And who's this? Hey Burford, thanks very much for stopping by. Out of interest, why wouldn't you use it? I'm really interested to know why some people are sort of not interested in using it. So Ali says, I don't feel like it would be capable of solving any of the problems I actually have. So I think you need to think about it a little bit differently. I don't think of it as being like code generation for like the novel works that I'm creating, let's say. What I see it useful for is being a boilerplate removal tool. Yes, I can craft a loop in many languages, but why type out all of those characters when I know I need a loop here? Just give me a loop. Or I'm stubbing out a bunch of methods and classes. I can just start typing, initiate a class construction, which it will do, then start to describe some of the methods that I want in the class, and it will stub out some of the basic framework for me. And in seconds, with limited amounts of timing, I've got all of that. And then I can get into the nuance of what do I really want in here. So that's what I see the value being. Hello, Dr. Wolf. Hello. You can say aloha or yo, either is fine. Welcome to the stream. Well, I think you need to. So Ali's saying that they don't use. Sorry. I've lost all the chat's moving a bit quickly. Ali says I don't use languages that require large amounts of boilerplate. So I'm just thinking of like any common stuff as boilerplate, any defining a conditional, any kind of loop, any kind of creating a class or a function or a method, anything like that. There's a bunch of typing that is always similar that you can just not have to do anymore. That's where I see its value. But I've typed in some really niche stuff and it's come up with like solutions to things, and it's like, well, let's say we having to go and look up a code snippet elsewhere. So Ian Jones says that they're worried about the licensing issues for Copilot, so looking forward to listening to the podcast. Yes, do have a listen. We cover that in some detail. I'd be interested in your thoughts after you've heard what we have to say on that topic. Yeah, and yeah, Diogo's got the idea here. Yeah, for, you know, just like run-of-the-mill stuff. Just, I don't need to spend time on this. We all know how to do it. Just do it for me. Just make me a loop. Make me a function. Make me a method. I'll focus on the detail afterwards. So Buford says it's against the idea of free software. Paying a big company for software that steals code that was created by the ideas of open source developers. So again, we discussed this in some detail in Linux Downtime, the episode. It'll be episode 51 on the Sunday. I encourage you to have a listen, and I would love to hear what you think, having heard what we have to say about that. I'm not going to frame it any more than that. I would like people to listen and then get back to us. Show at linuxdowntime.com, I believe. Okay. Right then.
Thank you for the follow, Dr_Wolf03.
Thanks for the follow, Dr. Wolf. Thank you. Right then. Well, with that, let's actually get into deb-get, because boy, has there been a bunch of work going on here. Yeah. So Burford, you can use snippets. Copilot is just like snippets ng in a big way. You can clearly tell I'm sold. I think it's fantastic. So then let's have a look. What have we got here? This is the state of my local tree. Let's go and have a look at the project. So I did merge some pull requests recently. Waydroid I have not yet. Also, while we're talking about GitHub, have you seen these? Have you seen achievements are now a thing on GitHub? So there we go, pair extraordinaire. So I have co-authored commits on merged requests apparently. YOLO, this is a fun one. Apparently I merged something without reviewing it, but when I looked, it was my own PR. So there we go. Starstruck for repos with lots of stars, and then Pull Shark for lots of successful pull requests submitted to projects. There's a whole bunch of them. If you go to the send feedback, you can go and learn. I have this one here. Yeah, there we go. There we are. There's Mandy there. There's a whole bunch actually, and this is all from deb-get, in fact, all of those things, because there tends to be a lot of conflicts with adding the definitions to deb-get. Something we'll fix in the future actually, but it's easy to resolve those commits through the GitHub UI. One in the second row is important. What's that? Right then. So this is not something we can fix. So most of these now are new packages, but if we just look at the recent commits, look at all this stuff. We've had a couple of people. King Eja, I think you're here. Thank you very much for all of your contributions. But there's been a couple of people in the community who have been going through the backlog of things and adding a whole bunch of stuff and fixing bugs. And what I thought I'd do is have a little look at a couple of things. I want to get this to the point where it works on Debian, not just Ubuntu, but I need to make some changes. So I thought I'd get in and have a little bit of a look at that. And one of the things we need to look up is code name, because I did some work to look at different code names.
Thank you for the follow, Buford0014.
Hey, is it Buford? Is it Buford? But thank you for the follow. So somewhere down here, I did some poking around with OS info. So it's stuff like this I want to tidy up. because we shouldn't need to know anything about Linux Mint code names or elementary code names. We should be able to just use the Debian and Ubuntu code names, because there's a relationship in OS info between those. So here we go. Here's an example where it's OS code name as opposed to this. So I just need to remind myself what I actually did. Here it is. So we have this. This is it. So OS code name is the, you know, like the Linux Mint code name or the elementary code name or whatever. An Ubuntu code name is going to be, well, in fact, let's do exactly this. So you'll see what comes back from this. Oops. It says jammy, but if I was to run this on Linux Mint, it would return the equivalent Ubuntu code name here. So I think where we see OS code name, I want to change that to Ubuntu code name, but we probably need to change. Maybe we'll change Ubuntu code name here to upstream, because then that would apply to Ubuntu and Debian. So I'm going to need to do... I'm going to need to do something here. So I'm going to put a to-do in here. Well, that's Copilot again. I mean, it's not exactly what I wanted, but it's not far off. Like, I mean, it's got the right idea, but I want to do something which is probably this ID. Do this conditional for ID. Let's see if it knows. OS info. There we go. That's not far off, is it? So OS ID, we don't need pretty. I think it's getting that from hints elsewhere in my code here. So it's even doing the right regular expression starts with. So if we were to run this here, there we go. So actually, that's not doing quite the right thing, is it? We don't want to do it on quotes. We want to do it on the equals. There we go. So not 100%, but there we go. It got me within striking distance. Now we can, in fact, I can move this to do now. This was where one of these things where I was thinking, oh, I can't be bothered to figure this out, but you know, it's just done it for me effectively. So OS ID in wow, that it's borrowed from elsewhere in the code, and it isn't what I want as it happens. So we'll just type in Debian and Ubuntu here. There we go. So we've now got our upstream code name. In fact, we haven't actually always got it, but we can account for this. We'll just put something in here, which is a catch-all, and just say upstream code name. is empty. Ah, yes, it's also spotted that I've got that missing, which is also required there. There we go. Okay, so we've now got our upstream code name. So I think I just need to go and look and just manually check. So upstream code name. Yep. So we can probably add the Debian ones in here as well. So we're going to have something like bullseye. I mean, this is wrong. I wonder if I could have requested an alternative there. Does it know? It does. It's close. I mean, it's it's close. I mean, what I want here is the actual version. And we do want Buster as well, I believe. And it's very close. Look, can you see it's starting to figure out what I'm driving at here? It hasn't got an alternative for me. It's Alt and square braces to move between alternatives. But this is close. So we'll upstream release. I can't remember which is which. Is Buster 10 and Bullseye 11 and Bookworm is going to be 12, I think. Have I got that right? Let me know. I can't. I'm not 100% certain, but I think that's right. So yes. So Ubuntu release also needs to change to upstream because we're trying to move to supporting Debian and Ubuntu. So Big Pod thinks I've got it right. If anyone wants to go and check the internet, see if I've got that. Trixie is going to be 13. Do we know that already? That's interesting. Thanks for that, Mizard. I didn't know that. Is that confirmed, is it? So that's going to be Bookworm next. Is Trixie. Which one was Trixie? It's been a while since I've seen those films. My daughter's kind of a bit older now, not so much interested in Toy Story. It's all Marvel superhero stuff these days. Right. Thank you, Mizard. Thank you for the confirmation. That's terrific. Welcome, by the way. Right then. So we've now got upstream release and OSID pretty OS code name. It's not supported because it is not. It's not derived from a supported Debian or Ubuntu release. I wonder how far I'm going to get with actually doing this. I feel like this is a larger chunk of work, and I'm not sure I'm going to get there today, but this is a step in the right direction. So OSID pretty. Oh, I've got OSID I'm using here. So I need to call this something else. Let's call it upstream ID then. And that needs to be upstream. There we go. So what have we got here? That's fine. That's all of the Ubuntu derivatives. I'm not sure I care about working this out for things that are not Ubuntu, but we probably need fancy is not supported. That's generating a fatal message. That's unfortunate. So we're probably going to need to catch Debian in here somewhere. Let's do that. So I'm going to guess that Debian is simply going to be that. And we'll just say Debian. Just so that it doesn't fail on getting a pretty name. I think that'll be fine. Okay. So now we come down here. Code name we know about. We do that. OS code name. OS code name. Upstream code name. OS code name is going to be the the Linux Mint and the elementary versions. Okay, so we've now got upstream code name, upstream release. This is good. So the reason we need this information is I want to add support for Debian in a way where we can actually add some knowledge about, is this a supported release of Ubuntu, or rather, does this package support these releases of Debian and or Ubuntu? Something the script doesn't do at all at the moment, but it needs to support. So I think we need to go and look for Ubuntu codename. That should be the only legitimate use of this. And where we do this now, this should probably be upstream. So why is this one so exotic? So they've got a GitHub releases. Why are we doing it on the upstream code name? Let's go and take a look. Should be able to add Debian. Okay, so at the moment we probably want to say put a conditional around this. So I'm going to need to create a VM at some point and test that stuff. So that's one that we've removed. And then we've got OpenRGB. And we've got this Ubuntu codename thing going on. So,
Thank you for the follow, Satish Kumar 3121.
Hello, Satish. Thank you very much for the follow. So, this is fine. We can call this upstream. And this should do the right thing then. Whether or not that works with Debian remains to be seen, but we can test these things. What have we got here? This is tail scale. And this is specifically for Ubuntu by the looks of it. So this is going to be upstream. This is going to need test with Debian. Okay, let's find the next one. This is another upstream one. And I wonder if... Let's go and look at... this out of interest. Oh, was that meant to be com? Oh, is that all we get? Brilliant. I wonder where that install page is. Was it Terraform we were just looking at there? Right, let's have a look. What have we got? So on Linux, so Ubuntu and Debian is the same thing, and it is the code name. So that is the OS code name, not the... But we want to use the upstream code name so that it works. So that's correct. That should work just fine. If we change that here to upstream, that should now work on Debian and Ubuntu. Right, the Azure CLI. We'll just change that to upstream. This one I'll need to test. Right then, let's have a look. What have we got next? In sync. I'm gonna assume. Here we go. So they've got specifically Ubuntu here. So let's go and look at in sync. Let's go and see if they've got slightly different instructions for Ubuntu versus Debian. Repositories apt. Why is this? Why is this screenshots in here? This is a bit... Okay, let's just go to InSync. Is it .I? Is InSync? No, it's .com. InSync HQ. Okay, let's try that then. I just want to see what their install docs look like, see if we can get this right for Debian as well. So, for desktop, download for Linux, Debian, repositories, here we go, apt, that's the same, code name, distribution, there we go, distribution. Okay, it even supports Mint. That's interesting. We shouldn't need to do that though because of the way we're pulling the upstream names out from Ubuntu. This should work. So we need to change that. So this is going to be upstream ID, I think it was, wasn't it? And then this is going to be upstream code name. There we go. So that should be sorted now. Let's go and look at the next one. Jellyfin. That's got an Ubuntu in the path name there. So let's go and see what their docs say. Download now. Debian, all Debian versions. Oh, right, okay. I want instructions. Stable. So let's just look at how the URL's being constructed. They're pulling out the ID. There we go. They're pulling out the ID. So that's fine. And then version code name. So they are using OS info. That's good. Okay, so this should be a drop-in for us then.
Thank you for the follow, Belfast Aaron.
Hello, Aaron. Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for the follow. So this should be the same. This should be upstream ID. and then upstream code name. And that should now work with Debian and Ubuntu. What's next? Docker CE. I'm hoping this is going to look extremely similar. Here we go. So there. Thing is architecture, we know that. And then download /Debian and then the code name. Okay, we can totally do this. Whoops, I switched the wrong thing entirely there. Right then, let's do this. So this we should now be able to do OSID here. No, upstream ID. So this whole pulling out the upstream name should mean that any, if I spell that correctly, any Ubuntu derivative should work and any Debian derivative should work using these mechanisms without having to know and track the plethora of code names that derivative distributions use. So that should be working. Let's look at the next one. Okay, so now, oh, this is disabled, so we're just going to skip over this. We can change this. I may drop this. This hasn't been, or when I last checked, hadn't been updated in ages, so we'll just do that. And now what do we have here? Wechat. Okay. I think we, oh, okay, so let's go and look at Wechat in, whoopsie, Wechat install. See what their docs say. Their docs say do that. Choose your distribution. Let's just do that as a known one. So /Debian /code name. Fine. We've got what we need to do this then. So this is now going to be upstream ID again. And upstream code name. So hopefully we don't have any, other than that, we don't have any stuff. So upstream ID, upstream code. Right, we're cooking on gas here. Hello, Vaxarel. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, this is a shell script, so this is bash. Right then, now, I think that's it. I think, well, that's not all of it. There is one other very important thing I need to do. So that's going to be lowercase Debian. That's fine. Okay. I think I need to find. Let's just check for Ubuntu code name again. It should only be one. That's that one. Good. Let's look for code name generally. That's fine. Let's look for Ubuntu release. Okay. This is where we need to change Ubuntu release to... Ah, interesting. So this one, I wonder if they publish Debian packages. Yeah, having a little think. There's a couple of things to just consider here. So let's look at the Jammy docs and see if they publish for Debian. Jammy Debian install. Download Jammy. Here we go. Debian. Click that button. What have we got here? Signed by... So it's going to be OSID _ OS release. Okay, whoops, that was the wrong thing. So yeah, okay. So this is going to be upstream ID, and then upstream release, and that should work for Debian and Ubuntu now. So where else do we use this? Flame shot. Oh, okay, that is very specifically looking for an Ubuntu release. So we may have to put that whole wrapper in a if. In fact, let's see. Oh, hang on, what was it about to suggest? Let's do if upstream ID there it is. It's close, it's close. I'll take that. It's close. So we basically just want that. Put the whole thing inside an Ubuntu conditional. Like so. Because this is very clearly, but this is going to be upstream. Because that will work now. So then we'll go and have a look here at their at the Flame Shot GitHub. Let's have a quick look. Let's see if the way those releases work, we can actually use them for Debian. So hey, look, Debian and we can do it for both. This is great. So we don't need that at all. This will work for both using upstream ID. There we go. Right, that's going to work with both. And that's it, I think. So then we've got one here, Corebird, which is in the open build service. This is okay. Let's go and have a look and see if we can quickly Corebird install Debian. Let's see if there's any commonality and how. We don't want that. We don't want that. There we go. This one. Maybe here, maybe here. There we go. Debian. Add a repository. Debian unstable. Okay, so that is going to be the pretty name because it's capitalized, and then the release. So I think we can do this. Hang on a minute. Am I seeing? I'm not. The construction is slightly different between Debian and Ubuntu by the looks of it. There's no X's there. Let's have a little look at the Ubuntu instructions. Oh. Huh. Why does it do that? Why does it put an X in front of Ubuntu? That's unusual. I mean, I knew it was there, but why? Why specifically? Okay, so we'll want a conditional which is if OSID pretty. No, I'm not even sure that's correct actually. Just OSID. Oh no. Yeah, OSID. OSID. No, that won't work. Code name. So we could use upstream ID and just capitalize the first character. So I'm not going to deal with that now. I'm going to make notes because that's a bit fiddly, this one to do. OS upstream ID. Prefix with X for Ubuntu. So I think that's what we need to do. And that is going to be a number that we need to pull out as well. So this could be stream release, because that's the version number. So let's do this. Let's do oh, go away. We'll see if we can get Copilot to help us out here. So let's do capitalize first character. Well, that isn't how I do it. Let's do this using bash. What? It's given us a URL. That's curious. That's new. Well, I'm gonna have to go and read this now. So we'll tab complete there. Let's go and see what this actually says. I'm assuming it's just going to have the caret in the thing. It's curious. It's giving us a suggests that maybe it. How does it know to go and look at? This is very odd. But I'm now interested to see what this has got. What? This is not even close. That's a terrible suggestion. It's not even like close. Okay. Nice. First character of string. It's got another suggestion for us. Well, I'm fascinated to see. I wonder where it's getting these from. Has it seen these comments in code, do you think? And I mean, this is, again, it's not even the right language. It's Xcode, so that's something Apple. A Rickroll, that would be good. No, I don't think I'd be too upset with that outcome. So I'm just trying to remember. That's a bit of a shame because what I was trying to do was avoid what I'm about to do. So this is going back to the before times. Bash capitalize first character. There it is. There's the technique. That's what we want. So we want this to be a local variable called OBS for Open Build Service upstream ID. It's close. It's going to be that. In fact, we don't even just do that, don't we? Don't need any echoes or anything. There we go. Okay, and then we want to say if it's Ubuntu. Oh, hey, look, it's worked it out. That's Copilot figuring it out. Look, it's very close. It's seen my comment up here, prefix X for Ubuntu. So we get X Ubuntu, and it has now said if the OS upstream ID correctly capitalized is that. So this is exactly what we want, except that, and it's now, and it's not upstream ID, it's OBS upstream ID. So there we go. That saved me a bit of typing. So we've now got what we want, which is to capitalize the first character of the upstream ID and prefix with X for Ubuntu. So now we can use this OBS upstream ID here. We'll copy that and use that in the bit below. So I think that looks about right now. Okay, we've got a string, or rather these apt URL repository names are correct for Debian and Ubuntu. Okay. So let's continue our search for Ubuntu release, because that's there we go, and that should be upstream release now. Okay, that's it. So we've got rid of all of the Ubuntu release and Ubuntu code name things. That's correct, because that's where we define these things. Let's see if we've got any others. Here we go. Here's one where we've got Ubuntu underscore. Oh, this is for this, which is fine. We're just ignoring that because we know this is bust. However. Okay, well that's probably fine. But it's disabled anyway, because this repo is ancient, so not something I'm gonna enable. Okay, I think might actually be, oh no, it's not it. So that's certainly some of it. So let's go over to the mighty Git Kraken. Let's create a branch here, Debian support. Let's see if we can't get this done. How hard could it be? So we'll, I think, who is that? It's Paul. Well done, Paul. Yeah, there's a referral code in there as well. Bit cheeky, but you know, I do like Git Kraken. It's very good software. So let's do this. We'll do a quick peer review of my own, reviewing my own stuff. That's good. That's fine. Upstream ID, upstream release, correct. That's fine. Okay. And then down here we had, right, I think what we'll do is we'll stage this first as a separate bit of logic. There we go, because those are all string modifications. We need to add that one. Blink. All of the rest, this will need updating, I think. Merger FS. Maybe we'll go back and check that one in just a moment. Okay, these are all changing the actual packages themselves. So this should be add upstream ID and upstream codename to support Debian and Ubuntu. I think that describes what we need here. I do have the YOLO award, but the other thing is that there's that pull the shark, and I think you have to get to like 4,000 or 1,000 pull requests accepted. So I'm thinking I'm going to be quite disciplined about submitting pull requests to my own stuff from now on. Got to get all the badges. Okay, so I think that's it, right? We've got the two things we need. So this is without having to keep track of derivative code names. Mint, Zorin, elementary. So, there we go. Hopefully that explains that more clearly. And then this is going to be that one needs work. I'm going to add it as it is. I've got a to do in there. So this is update packages with discrete Debian or Ubuntu support. So that's that done. Now, the bit that we need to do that is not done yet is go and find everything that starts PPA there. So anything that's in a PPA, we need to say if it knows. I mean, it does know. That is a good suggestion, because that is on that line. This is where we have this thing, but this is going to be if upstream ID. Let's try this. I'm just curious. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try if Ubuntu, then no. It did not work out. If Ubuntu. Oh, it's very close. It's using the wrong ID. I'll take it. We'll just get rid of this. So instead of OS ID, we want upstream. Upstream ID is Ubuntu. That's what we want. So every PPA, we want to have that conditional around, because we can't add PPAs on Debian. At least you shouldn't add them in the way that this does. There are ways, but it's not advisable. Okay, So we should now go and look for all of the PPAs. PPA equals, there we go.
Thank you for the follow, Revagzackle.
Hello, 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 Chris Nova. Hello, Chris Nova and friends. Thank you very much for the raid. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow, wow, 66. What were you doing on your stream, Chris? How did it go? Did you have a good one? Thank you very much. A lot like Chris, we are full-on Linux geeks over here, so you're among friends. Welcome one, welcome all. Thank you for stopping by. Hey, Mandy. So Mandy's already started work on their bin-get script, which is sort of inspired by this deb-get that we're working on here right now. So Chris is being cute and hacking the planet. Nice one. Sounds very agreeable. Were you successful in hacking the planet?
Thank you for the follow, Adiasa.
Thanks for the follow. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning. Yeah, it is still morning. It is still morning. My coffee's cold, but I need it. I'm a bit grumbly in the throat now. Welcome, welcome. Right then, let's crack on then. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put this conditional around all of these PPA additions, because we absolutely don't want anyone running Debian to stroll into that mistake. So and for those of you that are just joining, we've done a couple of things this morning. We started off looking at some updates to how I'm doing things with my own workstations and some project updates. And what we're working on now is a script called deb-get, which is for Ubuntu and now Debian, which can basically install deb packages that are published anywhere. So principally people that make software, make debs, but publish them in GitHub releases pages, but they're not in the Debian or Ubuntu archives and they're not in PPAs. This thing can go out and install them. So if I just show you, for those of you that are stopping by, because I know a bunch of you are going to be Linux enthusiasts, let's just bring up the project. Where is it? Is it in? Where did it go? Here it is. Here's the project. So
thank you for the
I'll show you how
follow,
to use it as well, so you get an idea what the whole point is. So this is the project here. Wimpy's World deb-get. Thank you for the follows, everyone. I appreciate that. Lovely to have you all here.
Tesla_man.
So here's the project, and here's an example of how it works. So deb-get install Google Chrome stable. There we go. Nice and straightforward.
Thank you for the follow. I killed Kenny too.
I killed Kenny. Nice. That's an old reference. And then this is a list of all of the software that it currently supports. And I think we're getting close to nearly 200 packages. So these are things that aren't in Flatpak, aren't in the Snap Store. The list goes on.
Follow JPIE 726.
Well, this is lovely. Nice to have so many new friends. So let me just give you an example of how it works. So if I use deb-get here, and I'll just do list, because there's a whole load of them. This is everything that it currently supports. Also, Chris, if you're still here, I saw, when I discovered your stream for the first time, I saw you using cool retro term, and I was like, that's a brilliant idea, totally stealing that. So that's how I am using cool retro term here as well. So let's imagine for a moment that I want to install, oh, I don't know. Let's find something good. Terraform. There we go. We were just looking at that. Terraform. So you just say deb-get install Terraform. It will automatically ask you to elevate your permissions. It knows how to do that with sudo or do as. So whichever your preference is. It just does the right thing. So it goes off and finds, so in this case, Terraform is in an apt repository. So what I can also do is do deb-get.
Thank you for the follow, Barathish36.
Hello, and thank you for the follows. So we can do deb-get update, and that wraps apt-get update and also deb-get's internal updater. So you'll see here what it's doing now. Hey Brian the Coder, welcome. Thanks for the follow. It's going off and looking at those packages that deb-get can install and update and upgrade that are only published in GitHub releases pages, or maybe just published on the vendor's website or the project's website. So you can see here that GitHub have released a new version of GH, their GitHub client. So that's updated the package references, and if I do an upgrade now, it's going to do a regular, package update on the apt-get system. So everything that's managed via apt just gets updated in the normal way. And then, hey RJ, how you doing? And then, no, there's no set UID. It just uses sudo or do as to, prompt you to put your password in and elevate your permissions that way. So thank you for the question. Who was that?
Thank you for the follow, lady_.
So just let's be clear. I was just responding to this question here from JPIE, who says that's awesome. I may be mistaken on how this works, but any support for set UID bet? I haven't added that, but I guess you could do that yourself if you wanted to. So here we go. So now it's gone out and it's seen there's a new version of GH in the GitHub releases page, and it uses the GitHub API to go and find that deb package, download it, and then install it. So there you go. And deb-get itself is installed and managed via deb-get, so it keeps itself up to date through these same mechanisms. So that's a quick look, and then we can oops, I'm in the wrong virtual screen. We can deb-get purge terraform, because actually I don't want that on this particular machine. I have that in my other VM, and there we go. That's it removed. So in a nutshell, that's deb-get. It does a whole bunch of stuff, and let's just find out. Deb-get list. Let's just pipe that through WC. I can't remember how many it supports, but we're about to find out.
Thank you for the follow, Bloop31.
Thank you very much for the follows. So there's 150 in that version, but if I go to the current tree that we're working on, let's do the same thing. So the one that we're working on and will release just momentarily, I think that has quite a lot more, because the community have been amazing. They've been adding loads of new stuff. So how many packages have we got in this version we're working on? 170, so 20 more packages in the one that we're working on at the moment. So right, as there's loads of Linux nerds in here, all of the Arch users type by the way in the chat. Let's see how many of you Arch users are out there. I'm sure there's at least one. I'm sure there's one of you must be using it, right? Hello Plagued Firmware, love that username. Hey Bloot, welcome. Oh Manjaro, by the way, that counts. I know Phil very well. He's good people. GPE, by the way, nothing. Okay. Oh, just the 6 of you. RJ, is that you voting yourself out? Oh, you're the Manjaro user. Yeah, okay. All right then. So by comparison, let's have all the Ubuntu people type in the code name of the Ubuntu release you're on. Let's have the Ubuntu people. Let's have a show of hands. Who's doing Ubuntu at the moment?
Thank you for the follow, Bertie Q's.
Hey Bertie Q's, thanks very much. I'll go for it. I'm on Jammy. Yeah. So for those of you who are new here and don't know me, I'm a long-time Linux user and developer. And recently I was at Canonical. I left there about a year ago now, I think. I was engineering director at Canonical for Ubuntu. So that's why there's a lot of Ubuntu going on here. But the internet requires me to tell you I used to be an Arch Linux developer, by the way. So, Pop OS, does that count? I'll allow it, Frackery. Welcome to the stream. And this is the Chelsea Cucumber. Thank you, Diogo, for this. The Chelsea Cucumber, this comes from a project of mine. I am the lead for Ubuntu Mate, and the green accent colour in Ubuntu Mate, the English name for that, the English language name for that shade of green is Chelsea Cucumber. And so that's a little meme of the channel, the Chelsea Cucumber that you just saw there. Okay, so anyone out there running something other than Ubuntu or Arch that's not derived from Ubuntu? So let's see, have we got any Fedora users out there?
Thank you for the follow, Ganit_ac.
It's always interesting to get a feel for, you know, what people are using. Right then, I will return to putting some boilerplate in. So something else that we've been playing with is Montera, I think I'm getting that right, Arch and Fedora. Go you, you love the bleeding edge. And also Revog, if I'm getting that right, Fedora as well. Very good. Oh, Void. Okay, wow, yes, yeah. With muscle, yeah. How does that work for you? I bump into weird issues with muscle-based distros. I work with containers at work, and so Alpine crops up a bit, and often run into issues with Alpine because of muscle and some of the differences in the implementation. Right then, let's go and find our other PPAs and make sure these don't advertise themselves on a Debian system. And I think this might conclude our support for Debian. So the reason that I'm keen to support Debian is that I'm working on I maintain most of my packages for Ubuntu in Debian, and I'm working on a project at the moment to help the Debian Mate implementation basically be identical to Ubuntu Mate. But one of the things that Debian maintainers wanted for a social project that they're working on, so it's a local government project in Germany, is the means to be able to install software like this, you know, that is well outside of Debian's, you know, packaging policies. They want to have these organizations be able to get at this software. So this is one of the reasons why I am adding support for Debian, because I want to help them succeed in getting more Linux in front of more people on more desks, even though it's their, you know, government provided computer at their place of work. Better that it's an open solution. So let's get all of this done. How many more are there? Oops. Who's spreading the love there? Plagued firmware. Thank you for that. Right then, what have I just done there? Did I just break something? I'm on the wrong virtual screen. There we go, that's fine. So, okay, this is a PPA thingy. Not many more. So I'm surprised actually. I didn't realise there was as many things that we'd added via PPAs as this. We might have to go and look at some of these and see if they've got like alternative distribution mechanisms for Debian, and see if we can flesh out, because it looks like there's going to be a bunch of packages that aren't going to be available. We can start by making it work on Debian and then flesh out the portfolio of stuff. Ooh, there was something that friend and ex-colleague of mine added to this project that I thought was rather cool. So you'll see this reference to Pretty List here, which is basically an internal tool I added in order to build out an index to stick inside the README on the GitHub page. Well, my friend Adam told me about Cogify, where you can run Python snippets inside the README files of GitHub pages. So instead of actually updating the README with the correct information, we now have a little snippet, and I think this is awesome. So I don't know if anyone else here knows about this, but let me show you what I mean. We just search for cog. Here we go. This is where like the help for the man, not the man page, but if you run deb-get -- help, instead of actually pasting it in, it is still here. We're going to remove it. But now what it does is when you look at the README file, it actually uses this cogifying, it's called, imports these modules and actually runs deb-get help and captures the result and then outputs it live into the README. So as your project is updated and new features land, the documentation is automatically up to date to that very moment. I think this is terrific. Oh, hang on, looks like I've got some. So King Egypt says, if you're going to change all the PPA functions, please could you merge 324? Let's go and take a look. I'm sure the answer is yes, but let's take a look. Okay. I tell you what, I've got a proposal for you. Instead of me merging this first, how about you go and put the conditional in that I'm adding so that this is up to date with what we're working on at the moment. So Vaxreal is asking, you pass your source files to make HTML files of your documentation. Not quite, no. What it's doing is this. It's running. Let me get to the right page. Let me close some stuff that's I don't need. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Here we go. Right. I will explain what's going on here. So this README on the GitHub page here, this text that you can see here is being rendered by running the code in the project to get the usage instructions and embedding that information live into the README. Similarly, this here, this list of packages, this is being live generated by running code in the project and rendering it in the README. Like, I think it caches and there's a time to live and what have you. But this is happening dynamically rather than having to go in and update the project. So good on you, King Egypt. I look forward to the update. So if we go here, in fact, no, not here. If we get, I'm not going to. Okay, I think I'm back. That was an OBS crash. That was fun. Wow. Okay, so I'll just give it a moment for things to stabilize. But there we go. Oopsie, oopsie indeed. Yeah, that happens. I was talking about the change of GPU at home. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed. OBS way more reliable on AMD and Intel than it is on NVIDIA, which is what I'm running here. So yeah, crashes happen, but fortunately can recover quite promptly. Welcome back. Sorry about that. So yeah, if we look at this README, here we go. This is the fragment here where it actually runs deb-get with its call to the help in order to capture the help output. Now, we do have this as a fallback, but we're going to remove it. And similarly, down here, you'll see another snippet where it calls deb-get and runs pretty list, which is what I used to use to generate all of this. And now what happens is it just generates into and caches this README. So as we add new stuff, this list is updated dynamically. It's pretty fantastic. So it's something I didn't know about until a friend of mine added it, but I'm thinking you could... So what we're thinking is, at the moment, this is just a big old list. I'm thinking of adding a category and an icon to the definition for the packages. And then we could actually generate like a categorized store page where the app can have their own app icon and they can be categorized by, you know, productivity tools or, you know, VPN services or container, you know, tools or whatever, which would make this not just a means to install software, but actually be a good way to, you know, for software discovery, because there's a lot of cool stuff, you know, in here that's I didn't know half of it existed. So meanwhile, let's get back to the job at hand, which is making sure this all works on Debian. PPA equals, how many more have we got to do? Is Copilot going to know what I want to do here? No, give me another option. Come on, we should have learned this. Come on. Update method equals GitHub. Where did it get that way? I mean, none of these are wrong. This is, so the other thing I've been doing is I've been playing around with Copilot and learning like how to coerce it. Upstream ID. Come on. No, you're so close. Upstream ID. Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't learned this yet. I don't know why it keeps trying to embellish this. Oh, maybe it's because I haven't saved the file. Maybe it would know better if I did that. Right then. Let's think. Upstream ID. I think that's right, isn't it? Upstream ID is... Yeah, upstream ID. Save. It's not happy. What have I... Yeah, there we go. That's it. It's happy now. So let's go and find the next one, which is here. So RJ says, I didn't realize it. Continued to learn. I just thought I knew what it crawled. So yeah, that's pretty cool stuff, I think, that Cogify. I'm going to have to learn more about that. In fact, at some point, I'm going to have to go through all of my projects on GitHub and give all of the like readmes a good thorough cleanup. Does list respect what you're running? Yes, it should do. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, Phil. So Phil asks this question. Phil says, does list respect what you're running on, or will it still show PPAs? It should not. It should only show what your architecture that you're running on supports. And when this has landed, this that I'm doing right now, it should only list the things that your distro supports. But that obviously hasn't landed. I haven't committed it yet. So at the moment, if you do a list on Debian, you will see a bunch of PPAs, which is what I'm just sorting out now. But it is architecture aware, and that will be the next thing I need to improve, because all of these PPAs, I think they only assumes these PPAs are AMD 64 because AMD 64 is implied. But what I'm thinking is we can add a little helper function to go and query the Launchpad API and pull back the list of architectures that are being published in a PPA to generate the supported architectures on each PPA sort of like automatically a little bit. and possibly do the same for the code names as well, because again at the moment it assumes everything is supported. So there's there's some additional work to do, but one thing at a time. We can't use reject replace to add it if it blocks. So Whelm, I'm not quite, yeah, so Whelm, I think, hopefully I'm getting that right. I'm not quite sure what your question is asking. Can you elaborate? And I'll try and answer. I'm not quite sure what you're driving at. Right then, let's get there. Have we got them all yet? I think we may be done. Looks like it. Yes. That's it. Okay, so we'll get that committed. Time for the mighty Kraken. And this is everything that is a PPA should now be wrapped. So, hey Adam, how you doing? Welcome back. I must be going long if you've woken up in America already. So I was wondering if we can use a regex based find and replace for adding if upstream. Oh yeah, probably, but I just wanted to do it by hand because I'm also curious about the architecture support, and I'm thinking all of this will have to, revisit in order to add the correct architecture support to the PPAs and also the code name support, because at the moment we make an assumption that all releases are supported and all code names are supported. But yeah, I could have done a search and replace to add the if upstream piece. I'm being a little bit deliberate about this because I'm about to make a new release and I don't want to break it completely. So I think we'll just take all of those. There was a bunch of them. So what should we call this? Hide PPAs from Debian, basically. So let's do that. And now let's go and look at the next thing, which is we have got references to code names in here that we need to change, because there is some references to like derivative code names that we won't need anymore, I think. Although I'm not finding any now. Here we go. So this, we only ever now need to use the Ubuntu and Debian code names because the derivatives are related. Oh, OS code name. I'm going to need to go and search for OS code name in a moment as well and figure out what that relates to and change it. Here we go. OS code name is... that is going to be the distro, so we don't want that. We want that to be upstream code name. Okay, so let's go and find all mentions of OS code name. That one's fine. This needs to be upstream code name. And that needs to be upstream code name. And that needs to be upstream as well. What is this for? Merger FS. Yeah, that one I did have a to-do on. and upstream. Okay, this is fine. This is fine. So we've removed that and we want to do... Let's just see if we can find any more boomers. No. Okay, that's it. So that was the Mint specific stuff it's taken care of. Hey Adam. Yeah, not bad. Bunch of changes. Yeah, didn't stream on Monday and Wednesday because I was sorting out stuff, sorting out computers at home and changing GPUs and sorting out my data and what have you. Which is all done, and I spoke about that at the start of things, about how things are now mega efficient around here. Except for the soggy organic bit behind the keyboard, of course, but everything else is super efficient. It's starting to feel like a Pandora's box of changes. Do you think so? I'm pretty happy with how this is going. Let's go and get that in there. So, if we do... Oh, it missed... How did it miss all... How did it miss these? Huh. Did I not hit save? Okay. That's just PPA stuff. Let's just check there's no others of those. There's not. Okay. Hide PPAs from Debian. There we go. And now this is going to be this particular, we'll just stage that on its own. No need to reference derivative code names. And there we go. We'll... What was this one? Oh, that's the same. Okay. Okay, so all of these are the same, which is only check the upstream code names for Debian and Ubuntu. There we go. Good job, it's a Friday release. Yeah, breaking all my own rules there. How you doing, Adam? How's things with you? Is it crazy town at the schools at the moment, or are you about to get chilled out because it's nearly summer holiday time? Right then, we're done, aren't we? So what I'm going to do is I had an issue that I think I wrote for adding Debian support, and I don't know how thorough I was in sort of defining a specification for this, but let's have a look here. Yeah, oh, somebody said that. Okay, not exposing PPAs. Oh, in fact, oops, there's a huge typo there. Not exposing PPAs to Debian. And making sure that any packages that have Debian specific repos builds do the right thing, which we did earlier. So we did add that. I'll likely merge this. I'm going to go and check theirs because I did suspect that things had moved on quite considerably. They added that, which is we did this earlier. That's good. They did this very particular thing as well. Yes. Okay. Good. We added more Debian codename support than that. This is awesome. So actually, we need to close 125 and 162 with this. So let's do that thing. Oh, it's a bit of a crunch time. I'm sorry to hear that. Hello, Quantum Garage. I'm glad that you've been able to catch me live. Thank you for stopping by. Welcome, 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 welcome. Missed the bit about what I was doing with GPUs. So when I'm finished, at the front of this, I did a a little update on some projects and stuff I've been working on, and one of them was how I've moved to a dual GPU setup at home, just curiously to save power and produce less heat. And I go into what I've done there and have a little poke around, so you know you can whiz back to that and have a look. So yes, I have got AMD Radeon 6900 XT as my main GPU, which is driving the displays, running the desktop, playing the games, all of that sort of thing. And then I've got a basic NVIDIA T600, which is one of their sort of quadro cards. It's super basic, and I've just got that set up as a GPU to do NVENC encoding and basic CUDA workloads, essentially. So video editing, encoding, streaming can all offload onto that, retain the quality that NVENC gives me, but without like all of the other issues that I was having. Right then, let's have a little looky. We need to submit a pull request for this. Helps if I'm in the right virtual screen. So let's push this and start a pull request. Did I say 125 and 162? I think I did. Oops, that's the wrong thing to do. Let's go. Yeah, I know. So Debian support is 120, closes 125, and this is 162. Okay, so there we go. Oh, yeah, obviously this is going to go into main and create that. Right, pull request created. I don't need to do the YOLO thing because I've done it before, but I'm probably going to do the same thing. So this is the change. Let's just let's do this. Let's do review changes. Approved. Oh, come on. What? Why won't it let me approve it? Can't approve your own stuff. Fair enough. Right then, let's go to Rebase and Merge. There we go. So hopefully if we look at this... Oh, it didn't close it. Well, that's annoying. Gosh, okay. What was this? 325. Okay. $325. Why didn't I? Can you close PRs with in that way? What was the other one? 162. Let's just open this one and change the number. That one did get closed. Okay, good. Right. So I was going to do a release, but I wonder if we should do a bit of testing before we just bump this one out the door. So let's go and do a few things. Let's go and run a few things. What have I done here? There we go. Right then. I've managed to move my browser into a strange place, haven't I? There we go. Okay, it's fine. Right then. So that's all done. So if we just do oh, I know what we need to do. I know what we need to do. We need to bump the version. To 0.3.1. Maybe, yeah, we'll call it 3.1. So, YOLO. Not quite. Close. I've already got that achievement. I was a little bit insulted when I saw what it meant, but okay, it's fair, I suppose. Smoke test. Yeah, I need to do better smoke tests on this, but yeah, what we'll do is we'll bump that version, and then we'll do a few things. So we'll do deb-get list. Oh, not in the right place. Okay. So the fact that that works means there are no syntax errors in any of the package definitions, because otherwise that would have fallen over. And similarly, pretty list should work in the same way. That does a few more things, as you can see, but the fact that that runs to completion means that there are no errors in any of that. So what could I do? Update is a good one. We're pretty confident this is going to work because I was using it earlier, but you know, this should. So hello, Eurobertix, is that right? I think that's right. Hello, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to the stream. What is this for a fine bash console? Well, PR324. Oh yeah, I'll go and grab that in a second, King Egypt. So, Eurobertix. There are two things here. The shell is fish, and the terminal is cool retro term, just for a bit of eye candy while streaming. I don't use this as my terminal. I only use it as the terminal when I'm streaming. Got the idea from Chris Nova, who was in here earlier. She raided, which was pretty fantastic. That doesn't happen very often around here, so it's always nice to meet new Linux enthusiasts. So that's working fine. We'll do an upgrade, which won't actually do anything, but it will just test that there's no syntax errors in anything. Okay. Yeah, Chris is pretty... I'm surprised it took me so long to discover Chris's channel, but I'm a regular viewer over there. Good stuff. I am wholesome, am I really? That's nice to know. Right. So King Egypt was working on a PR, so let's get that in. Oh yeah, it's the icon theme, of course. Right then. So it looks like it's going to rebase and merge. I'm going to review changes. There we go. So you've updated the documentation. Oh, actually, I should do that anyway. I will go and do that anyway. Nice. Check you out doing the right thing. There we go. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say approve. None of this YOLO nonsense anymore. I think that's only a one-time achievement that GitHub are doing. I don't think it's like tiered, like, you know, you've YOLO'd it 500 times or whatever. So let's get that rebase and merge. In fact, actually cancel. Let's squash and merge that one. Nice job, thank you. And I haven't looked at this one in detail because I felt this one's quite a comprehensive application and I need to go and look at it a bit more to see. Ah, hang on a minute. I'm seeing a... Where have I seen this? Where have I seen this avatar before? Anyway, I need to go and learn more about Waydroid, what it does, what it installs. Oh, in fact, there's something else I needed to do. Yes, there is something else I need to do. I reverted a commit. Your main branch isn't... Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to read about that at some point. I've never seen that message before. In one of my commits, I reverted a change for core control, and I've since learned there is a safety net we can put around core control. Here it is. So I removed this because it adding this PPA tries to replace Mesa. In fact, I'm not going to do this now because I don't want to potentially add this and then bust stuff for people. So I'll leave this out. I'll test it after. So I hope there are not tears of YOLO. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about here, if we go to GitHub and if you look at your profile, GitHub have started adding these achievements, and I got this one, which is merged without a review. And I have seen people in the GitHub community discussion saying, how do I remove this one from my profile? Hello, Lenka. Welcome to the stream. That last one is the most important one. This one, the Arctic Code Vault, is that the one you're referring to, Big Pod? I'm waiting for Big Pod to type either 3 or 2 characters. Yeah, it's interesting. I only went and read about this the other day. I know this got added a couple of years ago, I think, and I was curious what it was about. I'm not going to tell you. I'll leave that as an exercise for the viewer to go and research that. It's quite interesting what GitHub did. Right then, where were we? I think we're at the point where I need to update my local and bump the revision. So let's do this. We'll oh, come on, brain. Right, bump version. Okay. And oh, I've done that in the wrong place. Let's go back here and cherry pick that commit. There we go. Okay, so now we'll pull those changes that we've got from King Egypt's PR. Should turn up. Come on. Oh. Whoa, okay. What happened there? Why did that get so messed up? But okay. Okay. I need to investigate what happened there. That was a bit unfortunate, but never mind. Okay. So we'll push that up. And we need to... Yes, Paul. Oh, balls. Made a mess in the Git history, but never mind. Worse things have happened. Right then, let's do this. We'll run deb-get. I've lost it. What's it called? Oh, deb-build. There we go. So let's do that. And one of the developers of Waydroid is very active. Oh, so I'm getting some good information here. Let's have a look. So Diego says there's a Telegram group for Waydroid if you need to ask questions. It's not sure I need to ask questions. I just want to make sure when I add any packages to deb-get, it isn't something that's going to replace your kernel. put you on a development branch of Mesa, anything that might interfere with the hardware enablement stack, basically. I don't want to inadvertently introduce like a new subsystem. Just want leaf node applications. So that's the only reason I need to go and check it out. But thank you for the information. And then goes on to say, one of the developers, Waydroid, is active in the UbiPorts communities. It's an adjacent project. Okay, good to know. Thank you. I'm looking forward to trying it out, actually. It sounds interesting. Yeah, so that Arctic Code Vault, I have seen most GitHub profiles seem to have that one on it. Yeah. Right then. Okay, so we've now built our deb package, and we will just go and push those changes. Come on, get cracking. Where are you? Okay. Upload. Debian unstable. 0.3.1. Oh, stage. Commit that. Okay. Push this up. Right then, let's head over to GitHub and get this release done, because there was a ton of stuff here. So let's hit that button. Go here. We're gonna draft a new release. Did I miss the button? There we go. 0.3.1. Generate me some release notes. Go, go, go. Look at all of that. Look at all that work. God, you people are amazing. Thank you. Right then, and we will attach some binaries, because in development, Wimpy's world, there it is. We should have that. And am I in here? Because I did a pull request, you see. One of the reasons for doing a pull request is, there we go, add support for Debian. And publish release. We are in business. So now what we can do is do one last test, which is to drop over here. We can remove the deb-get cache for deb-get itself. Oops, I need to do that as root, and then we'll not run deb-get from in the project. I'm now running deb-get. So this, if I do deb-get version, you can see this is 0.3.0 on the system. We'll now do deb-get update, and we'll do an upgrade. So Eurobertix asks, what do I prefer for development, the JetBrains ecosystem or Visual Studio? These days I exclusively use Visual Studio, although I do like the JetBrains tools a lot. I just don't use them anymore. I've just got in the habit of using VS Code. Yeah, I'm using VS Code at the moment, that's for sure. But I do like the JetBrains products, they're very good. And now we'll do an upgrade, and we should have deb-get upgrade itself. That's the whole point of this thing. There it is. So deb-get knows how to update and bootstrap itself, and there it is. I used to use PyCharm a lot, and Client. Those were the two that I used most. And now if we run from the system version of deb-get, we're on the new release. Done and done. How good is that? So I do think we'll need to update the documentation, which we can do now, because Or shall I? I think I'll do this after the fact, because we're going to need to get new logos for Debian, because we're going to, this is now for Debian. It works on Ubuntu. It works on Debian, Ubuntu, and their derivatives and their derivative distributions. There we go. So I'm going to need to change this to include a Debian logo. Let's change the words though. So at least we don't make it look like it's an Ubuntu specific project anymore, because it isn't. There's nothing in there that we need. We do reference Debian and Ubuntu throughout most of this, so that's good. I thought ahead a little bit when I wrote some of it. Okay. That's their big old list of stuff. Oh, I suppose we could. While we're here, let's go and change. Let's just go and update that for completeness. So we'll do deb-get pretty list. So this was one of the contributions, was this now runs significantly quicker. Actually, how many have we got now? Oh, that's going to be inaccurate. That's going to be two more lines than we should have. Let's just do a list. 171. Is that going to be right? Yeah, 171 apps in there now. Not too shabby. So we don't need to look at all of that, because we know that that will change in but a moment. There's our key, that's fine. Third-party apps, fine. GitHub releases, adding software, what's acceptable? None of this needs updating. Okay. Oh, that was a new feature that got added, which is great. It's in the last version. Other related stuff. In the media. Oh, I should probably update this at some point. I'm sure there's been some other coverage since we did this. Right then. Let's do a pretty list and go and do the docs whilst we're at it. In fact, actually, no, let's not do that. Let's go to GitHub to see if this cog thing is working right. So if I refresh this page, what did King Egypt just add? Papyrus icons. So we've refreshed. So if we come down this page now, we should somewhere around P hopefully see. There it is. The papyrus icon. Oh, actually, did you? I think you added it to the docs as well, didn't you? You were very complete in your implementation. Yeah, GitHub Codespaces is good as well, Eurobetrix. Like that a lot. Okay. Right then, let's go and grab all of this. Oh, excuse me. Wow, such a lot of stuff. Is that? That's further down. Here it is. There it is. Right, so we need to replace all of that. I'm just keen to see what has changed. Right then, back to here. Okay, so audio. Oh, yeah. So it's updated some of these where... Why does it think that the papyrus icon theme is direct? Oh. Well, that's curious. What's it done there? Why has it done that? What? Oh, I wonder if the cog... No, that's not it. What's gone on there? Why has it changed that entry? When it's adding that bridge, that's fine. this is the words that I changed. That's fine. It changed this one. This is correct because it is in Launchpad. But where does the papyrus stuff come from? Let's go and check that. It is a PPA. Oh, I see. There's a typo. There we go. There's a typo. Let's do that again. I didn't spot that in my YOLO review, did I? So let's just go and find... In fact, let's do that and do grep that. And we'll just get that one line, which we can go and drop in. Oh. Is it that then? What? Oh. There we go. Right then. Should find it now. Right then. Let's go and grab that one line, drop that in the right place. Come on, brain. I'm going here. No, I'm not. Where am I going? README up here. Okay. Need more coffee. There it is. There we go. So now if we look at Gitkraken. Right, so we'll stage that as part of this change. Because, yeah, it's a no-op now, because nothing has changed, in fact, which is correct. So we'll just say update the README. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter, King Egypt. It's all fine. It's all good. Right then, there we go. So, if we go and look at the Git page now, all I'll need to do is figure out the Debian logo thing, which I'll do probably over the weekend. I need to update. Oh no, I did. I updated the Ubuntu logo on here yesterday because there's a new Ubuntu logo. I need to go and do that in a bunch of places as well. I did read you can template like bits of your readmes across multiple projects. I think I need to go and look how to do that so I can save myself some effort. Oh, that's good. Right, let's just go there. Haha, awesome. Right then. Right then, let's do that. Let's do that, okay. Right then. We are going to go raiding. We've got a good place to go and raid. I'm just queuing that up now. Thank you all for coming. I hope that was a bit of fun. New release of deb-get. So we'll see how that pans out. Thank you very much for the last minute follow there, Oliver. Welcome to the stream. I look forward to seeing you. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday about this time. So I hope to see you again soon. Thank you all very much for the follows. It's lovely to have a bunch of new Linux enthusiasts here in the channel. Do consider joining our Discord. There's about 2,000 people in there and we talk about Linux stuff, and there's channels for the various projects that we work on. So, hey Mandy, maybe we need one for bin-get. Let me know how you get on. I am very interested. Send me a link when you've got something. Very interested to. I'll add it to the related projects in deb-get. But with that, let's go raiding. We're going to go and see Plain Text Nerds. So everyone be friendly and introduce yourself when you get there. See you soon. Have a fab weekend. Bye bye.